Have you ever argued with someone who somehow turns every conversation against you? No matter how calm you stay, you leave the conversation feeling confused, guilty, or exhausted. They tell one version of events, you remember something completely different. Eventually, you start questioning your own memory instead of theirs. It can feel like they always come out on top, while you're left carrying the emotional weight. From the outside, they often appear confident, charming, and completely in control. Psychology has studied these patterns for years, especially in people with strong narcissistic traits. It's important to remember that this video discusses common behavioral patterns. Not every confident or self-centered person, and not a diagnosis of any individual. One common pattern is an intense focus on protecting their own self-image. When protecting that image becomes the highest priority, empathy and accountability may take a back seat. Conversations can become competitions instead of opportunities to understand each other. That's why interactions may leave you feeling emotionally drained and unsure of what really happened. It can seem like you're trapped in a game where the rules keep changing. But once you understand the psychology behind these behaviors, the game becomes much easier to recognize. Many popular myths make narcissism seem simple. In reality, human behavior is far more complex. Researchers believe these behaviors often stem from an unstable or fragile sense of self that is carefully protected. The confidence you see on the outside doesn't always reflect what's happening underneath. To understand why these interactions feel so powerful, we need to look beyond appearances. The more you understand the pattern, the less confusing it becomes. In the next section, you'll discover why people with strong narcissistic traits often seem to win and why that's usually an illusion. People with strong narcissistic traits often appear incredibly confident, and confidence can easily be mistaken for competence. First impressions are powerful. Many people assume that the most confident person is also the most trustworthy. When confronted, blame may quickly be redirected towards someone else instead of being accepted. Over time, repeated denial and contradiction can leave others questioning their own memories or perceptions. This confusion can make it difficult to trust your own judgment. Sometimes they present themselves as the victim, shifting attention away from their own behavior. In some relationships, periods of intense praise or affection may be followed by distance or criticism, creating emotional confusion. That unpredictability can keep people hoping things will return to how they were at the beginning. Attention and admiration can become powerful sources of validation. The more attention they receive, whether positive or negative, the more influence they may feel they have. When emotions run high, it's much harder to think clearly or make balanced decisions. Strong emotional reactions can unintentionally give the other person more influence over the conversation. These patterns often repeat because they create familiar cycles that are difficult to recognize while you're inside them. Understanding the pattern is the first step toward stepping out of it. For some people, interactions become less about solving problems and more about maintaining control. The goal isn't always to prove they're right. Sometimes it's simply to keep control of the situation. That's why emotional boundaries are so important. They reduce opportunities for manipulation. When emotional reactions become smaller, many of these patterns begin to lose their effectiveness. What looks like winning is often just maintaining influence over someone else's emotions. In the next section, you'll discover the hidden weakness behind these behaviors and why it changes everything. What looks like unshakable confidence may actually hide a fragile sense of self that depends heavily on outside validation. Praise, admiration, and attention can become essential for maintaining that self-image. Think of validation like a battery. The more attention they receive, the more emotionally energized they may feel. When that constant validation begins to disappear, their usual patterns may become less effective. One of the biggest changes you can make is refusing to fuel unnecessary emotional conflict. Remaining calm doesn't mean you agree. It simply means you're choosing not to be pulled into the cycle. Healthy emotional boundaries protect your peace without trying to control someone else's behavior. Boundaries aren't walls to punish people. They're guidelines for how you expect to be treated. Not every accusation deserves a response. Sometimes, silence is the strongest answer. Walking away from a harmful argument isn't weakness. It's choosing your well-being over endless conflict. The only behavior you truly control is your own. Taking a moment to breathe and respond thoughtfully can completely change the outcome of a difficult conversation. A calm, respectful no is often more powerful than a long emotional explanation. The healthier your boundaries become, the less influence unhealthy patterns tend to have over you. Real freedom begins when you stop allowing someone else to control your emotions. Your attention is valuable. You get to choose where you invest it. Every time you choose self-respect over people-pleasing, your confidence grows a little stronger. The moment you stop chasing someone's approval is often the moment they lose much of their influence. Without constant emotional reactions, many unhealthy interaction patterns naturally begin to fade. In the final section, you'll learn the most effective long-term mindset for protecting your peace and taking your power back. The biggest shift happens when you stop focusing on changing them and start focusing on protecting yourself. Not every argument deserves your time. Sometimes, walking away is the strongest choice you can make. Your self-worth grows every time you stop measuring yourself by someone else's opinion. Instead of chasing their approval, invest your energy into your own goals, growth, and happiness. Being kind doesn't mean accepting disrespect. Healthy relationships require mutual respect. Clear boundaries aren't about controlling others. They're about protecting your well-being. You don't have to respond to every message, every accusation, or every attempt to pull you back into conflict. Surround yourself with people who support you, listen to you, and respect your boundaries. If a relationship becomes emotionally abusive or overwhelming, talking with a trusted mental health professional can help you navigate your options. Healing doesn't happen overnight, but every healthy decision moves you forward. Self-respect grows through small, consistent choices that honor your values and your peace. The less you depend on someone else's approval, the more emotionally free you become. Confidence isn't about proving people wrong. It's about knowing your own worth. Fear loses its power when you stop letting it control your decisions. You don't win by defeating another person. You win by refusing to keep playing unhealthy emotional games. Real victory is finding peace, not winning every argument. Every step toward healthier relationships is a step toward a healthier life. Stay calm. Set boundaries. Respect yourself. These habits are far more powerful than trying to change someone else. The strongest version of you isn't controlled by manipulation, fear, or the need for approval. People with narcissistic traits may seem to win when they control your attention and emotions, but the moment you reclaim your peace, build healthy boundaries, and focus on your own growth, their influence begins to fade, and that's where your real victory starts.